Well, Louis Armstrong famously sang, "Please remember this, a kiss is just a kiss." Or is it? Spain's famous victory over England in the Women's World Cup has been completely overshadowed by a kiss that the president of the Spanish Football Federation gave to one of his players as they celebrated the win. Luis Rubiales grabbed Jenni Hermoso and kissed her on the lips in a spontaneous moment of jubilation. Well, now, instead of celebrating this great victory, he's fighting for his career and his reputation as people around the world call for him to be sacked or worse. Spain's Equalities Minister called it sexual violence, and Spain's Sports Minister said he needed to apologise and explain his behaviour. Now, initially, Rubiales said that he wasn't going to apologise. People upset about it were idiots and stupid. But then he later issued this apology, saying it was without bad intentions at a time with a lot of excitement. In the moment, we saw it as natural, but outside a commotion was formed. I have to apologise, learn from this, and understand that when you're president, you have to be more careful. Now, as for Jenni Hermoso, she said on Instagram when asked about it, quote, "I didn't like it." She was laughing at the time that she said that. And then later on, the Spanish Football Federation put out a statement in her name saying it was a completely spontaneous mutual gesture due to the immense joy of winning a World Cup. The President and I have a great relationship. His behaviour towards us has been exemplary. It was a natural expression of affection and gratitude. Well, this has caused a stir all around the world with people debating the appropriateness or not of that kiss. Personally, I'm a bit surprised it's gotten to where it's gotten to. Yes, it was inappropriate, and in this day and age, you can't do that kind of thing. However, they've just reached the pinnacle of world sport. They've worked their entire lives for this moment, and you could understand how in the moment, emotions got the better of him and it was a spontaneous gesture that nothing bad was meant by. He's apologised. Why ruin the man's career and attempt to drive him out of his job? Caleb?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it quite qualifies as sexual violence. And you're right, it's inappropriate. He probably shouldn't have done it. But I think if you look at the intent of what he did there, clearly there was no sexual, nature to it. It was literally like the way he grabbed her and did it was not, "I'm trying to touch you up." It was, "I'm just so jubilant at what has happened here." He ought to be wrapped over the knuckles for it, but I don't think it's enough to lose his job over, as the Prime Minister of Spain has suggested today. I mean, I understand in terms of sexual harassment, certainly sexual assault, we need to take a hard line, but I'm not sure this quite qualifies as sexual harassment.
OK, well, what's a hard line then? We talk all the time about it. Zero tolerance policy, zero tolerance. Every employer in Australia and worldwide is, no, we have a zero tolerance policy around any kind of... This was unwanted contact, and it was a kiss on the mouth. You can see by her arms there, this was not expected or welcomed or wanted, and they can put out as many statements as they like. Notice those comments from her were given via the federation of which he is boss. I'm sorry, I've worked in crisis comms. I know damage control when I see it. You're quite right in saying they have just won the World Cup, and now this is all anyone's talking about. Why? Because it is 2023. Everyone's had enough of this kind of behaviour. I don't care how elated he was. Where do we draw the line then? So every boss now, when he gets a new contract or lands a big tender, it is like, oh, $5 million, just grab the closest minion and plant one on her. She said live, when asked by a fellow player about it, she said, "I didn't like it."
To be fair,
now,
she was laughing when she said that.
Of course, they just won the World Cup. It was within hours of winning the World Cup.
Isn't that
She's
the
not
point
going to
of
be
the kiss?
crying in
They
a
just
corner.
won the World Cup. Is there any room for? Is there any room?
She didn't kiss him. He is in a position of power. He is the president of the federation.
Sure.
Okay. So him say, oh, I was just caught up in the moment, it was all fine. He even tried to pass it off on radio as a mutual, oh, this was just two people showing each other affection. We can all see the footage,
Can I ask
mate.
you a question?
It was not mutual.
This happened in a split second, okay? So when they say...
Yeah, a lot of mistakes happen in a split second, Mac. It doesn't
Can
justify
I
them in
finish
any
the
way.
sentence? Let me finish.
Please.
This happened in a split second, okay? It wasn't so much a kiss as a peck on the lips. It was so fast. Is there any... Here's my question. Is there any grace at all to say, you know what, he didn't mean anything untoward. He got caught up in the moment. All right, apologise, but you don't have to lose your job over it.
Well, firstly...
we can clearly see you meant nothing malevolent by it. Is there any opportunity for that at all?
Yeah, you're both very bold to speak to his intentions. You have absolutely no idea what kind of guy he is, what kind of relationship
I don't
he
know
has
that he's
with
an
the
evil
players.
person either. I'm assuming...
I'm not claiming that. I'm simply saying this was objectively rather, inappropriate.
Which he has admitted and apologised
Okay,
for.
so what do you think? No. Once he was browbeaten into it, he wasn't sorry at all. He was extremely
Because I think
defiant.
his reaction of defiance in the first instance, you can kind of understand if he thought, you know what, this was spontaneous. I didn't mean anything by it. So his initial reaction is defensive.
That is never a justification for
But it's
touching a
human
woman.
nature, Liz.
Oh, it's human nature for a man to kiss
No,
a
that's
woman.
not what I
Yes,
said. Not
it
what I said.
is.
You just took me totally out of context. I said it's human nature to defend behaviour in the first instance. Your natural instinct is to defend behaviour that you honestly meant nothing untoward by. Then he thinks, you know what, it has been misinterpreted or interpreted in another way. Now I will apologise. I don't think that's duplicitous. I think that's kind of understandable.
It is damage control, pure and simple. What he said in the first interview was completely defiant. I've done nothing wrong here. These people are idiots. That's his true thoughts on the matter. And the standard that you walk past is the standard that you accept. So the fact that you guys want to argue, oh, it was just in the moment, cut him a break, please. Bosses have been dismissed. I'm reminded of John Lasseter. Back in 2017, he was dismissed as one of the founders of Pixar for excessive hugging. You don't get to get around your office or use any kind of minions as hugging people, kissing people, if it's a woman. And these women, I might add, sporting women, they put up with more objectification, more harassment. Here she was at the peak of her career, the biggest accomplishment
He was
she'll
also
probably
at the peak
ever.
of his career as the president of the Football Federation.
Didn't kick a ball in the game.
Oh, Liz,
You don't get
sports
to line the
administration.
players up and snog them. Nah, I'm
think you're
sorry.
unfair. I get it.
No, I'm sorry. I don't think there's one woman watching who's on your side, by the way, because
We're
and
going to have
many
to
women
run a
like us
live
have
poll
put up
on
with
this. I
stuff
think.
for
Remember
far
the
too
worm
long.
they used to have in the prime ministerial debates? Bring it back, a new feature of the late debate.